Hello and a very good morning. You're watching the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. First up, a look at the headlines. Less than 48 hours left for campaigning for the Delhi Assembly elections. Last-minute manifestos and promises are being made amid political volleys and verbal spats. US President Barack Obama's $4 trillion budget wish list looks for a way forward in the Republican-dominated Congress. Analysts dismiss it as a pre-election manifesto. Outrage against the Islamic State in Jordan as a grisly video showing the burning alive of a hostage Jordanian pilot is released on social media. The government promises swift revenge. And at the ongoing national games in Kerala, Jasveer Kaur of Punjab rewrites the national record in women's weightlifting. Well, there's just a couple of days of campaigning left for the Delhi Assembly elections, and the tug of war to woo the voter is at a feverish pitch. The Delhi BJP released what it called a vision document yesterday, choosing that over a manifesto. As expected, there's a flurry of promises for the capital, but it's silence on the full statehood issue. Here's a report.
The BJP unveiled a 270-point vision document on Tuesday, which it called a roadmap to make the national capital into a world-class smart city. The party has promised Pakka houses to all slum dwellers by the year 2022, round-the-clock power and water supply, and effective people-friendly government.
दिल्ली अगर हमको वर्ल्ड-क्लास सिटी बनानी है, तो complete revamping of infrastructure. When we say infrastructure means जो दिल्ली में वर्ल्ड क्लास सिटीज में हम देखते हैं, बाहर हमको तार दिखाई देते हैं, कंप्लीट ऑगमेंटेशन होने की जरूरत है। और तब दिल्ली का ये मूलभूत जो सबसे बड़ा प्रश्न है वो ठीक होगा। दिल्ली में किस प्रकार से 24/7 लोगों को बिजली मिले, सस्ती बिजली मिले, ये हमारा कॉज ऑफ कंसर्न है।
The BJP has kept women's safety and security its priority area, issues that have been at the core of its CM candidate Kiran Bedi's campaign.
It will focus on the following urgent and important matters. अब इनमें से किन पर ध्यान दिया जाएगा ज्यादा? Urgent क्या है और important क्या है? सबसे ऊपर है women's safety and security.
The document promises work on 6 principles, including 100% transparency, unimpeachable integrity, accountability, measurability, fiscal prudence, and zero tolerance towards corruption. It also promises to focus on youth affairs, cleanliness, education, and skill development. A compulsory health insurance for all citizens of Delhi has also been promised by the party. Besides, a promise to protect the people of the northeastern states also finds mention in the Saffron Party's vision document for Delhi. For the first time in 2 decades, the party has not spelled out its position on full statehood to the national capital, which it promised in its manifestos for the 2013 assembly polls and past elections. It also did not release the manifesto this time, while opting for a vision document unlike the other parties. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, the Congress came out with the second part of its manifesto for the Delhi Assembly polls yesterday. The party has promised to make the national capital free of slums and beggars in the new manifesto. Emphasizing more on better connectivity in the city, Congress proposes to make Delhi signal-free, create a monorail infrastructure, besides improving metro rail services. It has promised to allow more auto and taxi stands as well as double-decker flyovers in an attempt to ease growing number of commuters in the capital. Congress has also proposed 1 crore rupee rewards for cops killed on duty. The party also criticized BJP's vision document, which was released just hours before the Congress's manifesto.
एक कारण तो ये है कि उसके उसी पेज के नीचे लिखा हुआ है लेट्स गो विद मोदी, यानी प्रधानमंत्री जी के साथ हम चलें, और ऊपर हेडिंग है नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न इमिग्रेंट्स टू बी प्रोटेक्टेड। तो क्या भारतीय जनता पार्टी नॉर्थ ईस्ट के हमारे देश के नागरिकों को दूसरे देश का नागरिक मानती है?
दिल्ली में हर रिलीजन को उसकी रिकॉग्नाइजेशन अलग से मिले, चाहे वो जैनिज्म है, चाहे वो सिखिज्म है, बुद्धिज्म है, क्रिश्चियन है, मुस्लिम्स हैं, सबको हम रिकॉग्नाइज करें और कॉमनल हार्मनी दिल्ली में करें। मैनिफेस्टो ये कहता है कि हम लोग डबल डेकर फ्लाईओवर्स, अंडरपासेस बना के दिल्ली को सिग्नल फ्री सिटी बनाने की कोशिश करेंगे। दिल्ली में मोनो रेल और लाइट रेल्स ये जहां जो है वो जाल बिछाया जाएगा वहीं मेट्रो के नेटवर्क को भी जो है तेजी से बढ़ाया जाएगा।
And continuing on the Delhi election campaign trail, even as the Aam Aadmi Party demanded an SIT probe into funding of political parties, allegations of dubious funding of Aam Aadmi Party from 4 fake companies triggered a political slugfest. Let's take a look.
Reactions flowed thick and fast to the allegation of round-tripping of funds by the Aam Aadmi Party. Leading the charge was Finance Minister Arun Jaitley, who called it Hawala by midnight. Other BJP leaders also weighed in.
It's obvious that this is a round-tripping of black money into the system of a political party. Now, if you have trapped yourself in an incident of this kind, there is no point that you should start blaming other political parties and try and deflect the agenda. I'm sure the statutory authorities will do their job as and when returns are filed or as and when these facts are brought to their notice.
Net profit, 7.5% is all that they can give for any number of political parties. Here these are companies which are shell companies, which are dormant, which are not making profit. They have given, which means you have done something against the law of the land.
The Congress used the occasion to hit out at both the Aam Aadmi Party and the BJP on the issue of funding elections through dubious sources.
किरण बेदी जी के पास तो बीजेपी का पैसा है, सारा इस्तेमाल हो रहा है, सारी दिल्ली देख रही है, और इनके पास जो पैसा आया है, कई जो सूत्र हैं वो संदिग्ध हैं.
Some opposition parties agreed with AAP leaders that panic within their ranks is prompting the BJP leaders to make these allegations against the Aam Aadmi Party.
जो भारतीय जनता पार्टी का रिएक्शन हो रहा, यह रिएक्शन ही अपने आप में इस बात का द्योतक है कि वो घबराहट में है और एक तरह से हार मान चुके.
भोपाल गैस त्रासदी की हत्यारी कंपनी डॉव से चंदा लेने वाले लोग, जिनके स्विस बैंक में अकाउंट पकड़े गए, उनसे चंदा लेने वाले लोग, 2,500 करोड़ रुपए का बेनामी चंदा जमा करने वाले लोग, 15-20 करोड़ रुपए जो हमको ट्रांजैक्शन मनी मिला है, जो डिजिटलाइज्ड मनी है, उस पर सवाल उठा रहे हैं. इससे कम से कम उनके चंदे भी संज्ञान में आए.
It is not the first time that AAP has faced similar allegations. 2 months before the Delhi polls in December 2013, a petition was filed in the Delhi High Court seeking a criminal case against Kejriwal for allegedly accepting foreign funds. The present charges against the AAP come 2 days before campaigning officially ends in Delhi. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, let's look forward now at some news-making events lined up for today in our special section, The Day Ahead. The Delhi High Court will today hear the Congress leader Kiran Walia's petition seeking cancellation of AAP chief Arvind Kejriwal's candidature. The court had issued notices to Kejriwal, Election Commission, Delhi Chief Electoral Officer and others to make their stand clear. Walia has alleged that AAP chief had submitted a false affidavit declaring himself a resident of the capital. The Election Commission had cleared Kejriwal's candidature. The poll pitch in the capital is in high gear. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be addressing a public meeting in Ambedkar Nagar, throwing his weight behind party's chief ministerial candidate Kiran Bedi. Congress Vice President will make back-to-back appearances at Jahangirpuri and then at a roadshow in Chandni Chowk. AAP convener Arvind Kejriwal will address rallies in Tilak Nagar, Rajouri Garden and Moti Nagar. The National Green Tribunal will take up the final hearing in the case of the controversial Kanhar Dam in Uttar Pradesh today. The tribunal had stayed construction of the dam last year for lack of valid environment clearance. It was contended the previous election commission, the previous EC and forest clearance to the Kanhar Dam project first envisioned in 1976 was not valid after 38 years. February 4th is observed World Cancer Day, designed to raise awareness of the disease and to promote its prevention, detection and treatment. Events and programs are planned around the country. This year's theme, set by the United Nations in the fight against the disease, is not beyond us. Health experts say tobacco is the most common factor which causes cancer. With a positive and proactive approach and little changes in lifestyle and diet, we could prevent some of the most common types of cancer. Well, it's time for a short break now, but still to come, fresh clashes in Ukraine as the UN warns that the fighting is catastrophic for civilians. That and much more coming up. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hello and a warm welcome to It's My Life. This week we are in the city of lakes in Punjab, that's Bhatinda. What kind of memories really come to you when you come in the middle of the mustard field?
Like a sight for sore eyes which takes away all your tiredness. Do you miss those moments when a wife cooks for her husband the favorite dishes?
My wife never cooks at all.
Watch me on It's My Life on Rajya Sabha TV.
Back, you're watching Rajya Sabha television. Well, US President Barack Obama's budget proposals for 2016 call for increased spending and lay out a number of new tax raises to enable funding. It also forecasts continued fiscal deficits over the next decade. But implementing the proposals won't be easy. They need clearance from Congress, which is dominated by the opposition Republican Party. Here's more.
A $4 trillion budget for the United States fiscal year 2016 with programs to prop up the middle class and taxing the wealthy. He speaks of doing away with austerity measures that cap domestic and defense spending. President Barack Obama's budget details $3.99 trillion in spending and collects $3.52 trillion in revenue, running a deficit of $474 billion. The budget outlines significant tax hikes, primarily on the wealthy and firms. The $238 billion raised would be used to fund infrastructure projects across the country. The budget achieves some $1.8 trillion in deficit reduction over the next 10 years through healthcare, tax and immigration reforms. But how much of this can actually see the light of day? Without the buffer of a Democrat-controlled Senate, it is unlikely that the proposals will be cleared at all, which makes the exercise more targeted for the 2016 presidential campaign than creation of a realistic fiscal roadmap.
Rhetorically, at least, we hear the White House echo Republican calls for policies aimed at helping the middle class. But then we see the White House push more of the same stale top-down policies favored by political bosses over on the left.
Funding for Homeland Security remains a boiling issue raked up in the budget. Obama said the Republicans would be putting the entire nation at risk if they did not fully fund the department. This comes in the backdrop of Republicans planning to curtail the department's funding to block Obama's executive orders on immigration.
A large majority or a large percentage of Republicans agreed that we needed comprehensive immigration reform and were prepared to act in the Senate and should have acted in the House. But if they don't agree with me, that's fine. That's how our democracy works. You may have noticed they usually don't agree with me. But don't jeopardize our national security over this disagreement. And if Republicans let Homeland Security funding expire, it's the end to any new initiatives in the event that a new threat emerges. It's the end of grants to states and cities that improve local law enforcement and keep our communities safe.
Obama does have some pressure points to force Republicans to the negotiating table. Republicans want to free the military of automatic spending caps, something Obama will not accept without relief for domestic programs as well. Republicans are expected to put forward their own proposals in a few weeks' time. Obama's plan is just the opening gambit in lengthy negotiations expected with the Congress. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, joining me for a chat this morning on this very subject is the Foreign Affairs Editor of the Hindustan Times, Pramit Pal Chaudhary. Good morning, Pramit, and thank you for joining us on the program. Well, as far as Barack Obama's budget is concerned, he's proposed a $4 trillion budget, but that has been rejected by the Republicans. They're not really happy with Obama's budget. It seems like we have some kind of difficulty with the line there with Pramit. We'll try and get that connected in just a bit. But in the meantime, of course, Obama seems to have held the high ground in the budget fight with the Republicans. And Obama, in fact, presenting that $4 trillion budget. Let's not forget that the budget has to be approved by the Senate, and that the Republicans already rejecting Obama's budget, and we could probably see a fresh proposal being put forward by the Republicans in the next few days to come. But it remains to be seen how Obama pushes forward this proposal, of course, because the Senate is in minority as far as the Democrats are concerned, and the Republicans holding majority there, and clearly they have termed the budget or proposal of Barack Obama as a pre-election manifesto for the year 2016. The budget, of course, the proposal, of course, seems to please the middle class, and talks about healthcare and talks about investment that is required as far as infrastructure is concerned, and also investments in the Ukraine region to try and ensure that the Russians are kept at bay. Well, Obama, of course, made the proposal early yesterday, that is late in the night on Tuesday, as far as the US was concerned, and as far as the budget proposal itself is concerned, of course, Barack Obama certainly trying to push forward the agenda of the Democrats. That's what several of the analysts have come out and said. The analysts clearly stating that this could probably be a budget proposal that looks at pleasing the middle class of the US. Moving on now to some more international news. Islamic State militants released a video late on Tuesday appearing to show a captured Jordanian pilot being burnt alive. The killing is seen as retaliation to Jordan's support to the US in airstrikes in Syria. The pictures have raised a storm of protests across Jordan, with the country vowing to avenge the death with an earth-shaking response. Here's more.
Pictures that have raised a furore. A man resembling captive pilot Muat al-Qasasbeh stands in a black cage before being set ablaze. He wears orange clothes similar to those worn by other foreign Islamic State captives who have been shown in brutal IS videos over the last few months. As the pictures were released on social media, a storm of protest brewed. Reports said the hostage had already been killed on the 3rd of January. Protesters gathered to express anger at the killings, questioning why Jordan was even involved with the conflict. Muslim leaders echoed the condemnation.
الخبر الله يعطينا عافية اللي حتى إن ما لنا خص بكلها السالفة اللي ما لنا طعم ما لنا فيها إحنا ما لنا فيها وشو خصنا بسوريا هذه ودهم يذبحوا عيالنا بسوريا وشو خصنا فيها.
The despicable act that the criminals are perpetrating, unfortunately, in the name of my religion. The brutality of the Islamic State of Iraq and Sham, known as ISIS, surpasses any inhumane measure that the humanity can think of.
Jordan had been demanding the release of Qasasbeh in exchange for an Iraqi woman jailed in Jordan for her role in a 2005 suicide bomb attack. The Jordanian king cut short a visit to the United States to return home following word of Qasasbeh's death. In a televised statement, he said the pilot's killing was an act of cowardly terror. The United Nations too stepped in to condemn the killing. The country's government promised a strong, decisive and earth-shaking response.
يعلم كل الأردنيون أن من كان يشكك بوحشية تنظيم داعش الإرهابي فهذا هو البرهان، وأن من كان يعتقد أنهم يمثلون الإسلام السمح فهذا هو البرهان. إن من كان يشكك بوحدة الأردنيين في وجه هذا الشر فسنريهم البرهان.
Since July last year, when the US began airstrikes against the Islamic State, the group has released videos showing the beheadings of 5 US and British hostages and said it had killed 2 Japanese captives in the same way. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
For more news and updates from around the globe, here's the latest World Wrap. Ukrainian officials say at least 16 civilians have been killed in the past 24 hours in renewed fighting in the east of the country. 5 Ukrainian soldiers have also been killed and more than 30 others wounded. The United Nations has said that the fresh fighting is catastrophic for civilians. There's been intense fighting in the town of Debaltsev, where heavy explosions went on through Tuesday. Greek leaders have received a guarded welcome to their reported proposals for a debt deal ahead of crunch talks with EU creditors. Greek Finance Minister Yanis Varoufakis has reportedly suggested a new deal for exchanging debt with bailout creditors. After a meeting in Rome with Greek Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras, Italian Prime Minister Matteo Renzi said his country would give Greece a hand without always agreeing with it. Kurdish Peshmerga fighters backed by coalition airstrikes have driven ISIL militants out of a village south of Kirkuk in Iraq on Tuesday. This is part of a new offensive against the group, and operations against the militants in numerous locations reportedly began on Friday. Iraqi officials released images of a series of airstrikes carried out near the Iraqi city of Mosul. A vehicle and a compound described by officials as ISIL targets were hit. Pulitzer Prize-winning author Harper Lee will publish her second novel for more than 50 years after the release of her classic To Kill a Mockingbird, her publisher announced on Tuesday. Go Set a Watchman, which was written in the 1950s and features characters from To Kill a Mockingbird, is scheduled to be published on July 14th by Harper Productions. To Kill a Mockingbird won the Pulitzer Prize and was adapted into a 1962 film and has sold more than 40 million copies globally since it was published in 1960. It's time for another short break here on the program, but on the other side, all the updates coming up from the national games. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Tradition dating back centuries. A cultural heritage that inspires and warms at once. Magic that awes. Rajya Sabha television brings you events that embrace the wonders of India's classical arts. Conversations with the biggest names in the culture and music. Rajya Sabha Television, democracy at work.
Welcome back, you're watching Rajya Sabha Television. Well, Canadian-Egyptian journalist Mohammed Fahmy dropped his Egyptian citizenship as he continues to fight for release from a Cairo prison. Fahmy and his two Al Jazeera colleagues Peter Greste and Bahir Mohammed were arrested in December 2013 and convicted of supporting the banned Muslim Brotherhood group. Greste was freed on Sunday. Here's more.
2 days after the release of Al Jazeera journalist Peter Greste from an Egyptian prison, there are indications that Canadian-Egyptian journalist Mohammed Fahmy could be next. Canadian government said diplomatic efforts to free Fahmy are going well.
Minister, can you tell me about Mr. Fahmy? How are your diplomatic efforts trying to go? Very good. Is he going to get out soon? What are we going to get? So, can you say that again? Amen. Thank you.
Like Greste, Mohammed Fahmy renounced his Egyptian citizenship to secure his release. A presidential decree allows foreigners on trial to be returned to their home countries. Australian journalist Peter Greste was freed on Sunday and deported after 400 days behind bars. While Fahmy is expected to be deported to Canada, it is not immediately clear what will happen to Mohammed, who has only Egyptian citizenship.
I know that there is Mohammed Fahmy and Bahir Mohammed and the 7 other people that were convicted alongside us in absentia and 4 others that had nothing to do with our case who are serving prison sentences. And so amidst all of this relief, I still feel a sense of concern, a real sense of worry, because if it's appropriate for me, if it's right for me to be free, then it's right for all of them to be free.
The three Al Jazeera English journalists were arrested in 2013 on charges of collaborating with the banned Muslim Brotherhood after former President Mohammad Mursi was ousted by the military. All three denied the allegations and called their trial a sham. Fahmy and Greste were jailed for 7 years and Mohammed to 10. Their sentences sparked an international outcry. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, there's good news for consumers ahead of the Delhi elections as petrol and diesel prices saw another cut last night. Petrol prices were slashed by 2.42 rupees per litre and diesel by 2.25 rupees a litre. Petrol is now at 56.49 a litre in the capital. Similarly, diesel will cost 46 rupees per litre. This is the 10th straight reduction in petrol prices since August and the 6th in diesel since October. The international oil prices have continued to be on a downward trend, its effects trickling down to domestic prices. After the price cuts, the cost of petrol is the lowest since September 2010, while diesel is at its cheapest since March 2013. On to the global stock markets now. US stocks jumped more than 1% on Tuesday, led by energy shares as oil prices extended their recent rally, while higher than expected January car sales also bolstered the advance. In the US markets, the Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 305.36 points or 1.76% to end the day at 17,666. Standard & Poor's 500 index gained 29.18 points or 1.44% to close the business at 2,050. The Nasdaq Composite added 51.05 points or 1.09% to finish at 4,727. Gold prices on Tuesday fell by 180 rupees or 0.36% to 28,270 per 10 grams as demand from jewelers and retailers eased at prevailing levels amid a weak global trend. Silver, however, recovered by 450 rupees or 0.45% to 38,450 per kilogram on increased offtake by industrial units and coin makers. Asian stocks rose on Tuesday as a surge in energy stocks spread to the broader market. Japan's Nikkei was up by 332.28 points or 1.92% to close at 17,668. Hong Kong's Hang Seng rose 70.04 points or 0.29% to end the trading at 24,554. Let's get you all the news now from the 35th National Games. Olympic silver medalist Vijay Kumar shot a golden double as he grabbed both the individual and team gold for services in the men's 25-meter centre-fire pistol competition. Himachal Pradesh's veteran Samresh Jung and services Pemba Tamang settled for the silver and bronze medals respectively in the individual competition. In the men's 50-meter rifle prone event, services Chain Singh Manhas snatched the gold medal with a score of 205.8. Madhya Pradesh's Samsher Singh Bhandari took the silver while Karmakar took the bronze. World Cup gold medalist Manavjeet Sandhu had to settle for a bronze in the men's trap finals. The Jasveer Kaur of Punjab rewrote the national record in the 63 kg women's category. Kaur had already confirmed her gold medal but continued her lifts and ultimately broke the national record by lifting 94 kgs in snatch and 118 kgs in clean and jerk, totaling 212 kilograms. Services SCB is at the top in the medals tally with a total of 26 medals, 16 gold medals, 2 silver and 8 bronze medals. Haryana also has 26 medals but comes in second with 15 gold medals, 7 silver and 4 bronze. Maharashtra with 10 gold medals is in the third position, while host Kerala with 6 gold medals is in the fourth position. And finally, of course, the winter chill shows signs of easing off in most parts of the world, though snowfall continues to fall in several places. Here are entries now for an international snow sculpture contest in China. 13 teams, including China, Canada and Finland, are taking part. I'm going to leave you with these visuals. Have a nice day.